The mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, also known as the Djeser-Djeseru, Holy of Holies, is an ancient funerary shrine in Upper Egypt. Dedicated to the pharaoh Hatshepsut, it is located beneath the cliffs at Deir el-Bahari, on the west bank of the Nile near the Valley of the Kings. Located on the west bank of the Nile, opposite the city of Luxor, ancient Thebes, Hatshepsut's temple is part of the Theban necropolis. Built in a half-circle of cliffs, this memorial temple marks the entrance to the Valley of the Kings. Djeser-Djeseru, Holy of Holiest, is the name of the main building of the Temple of Hatshepsut. The first monument built at the site was the mortuary temple of Mentuhotep II of the 11th dynasty. It was constructed during the 15th century BC. During the 18th dynasty, Amenhotep I and Hatshepsut also built extensively at the site. Hatshepsut's chancellor, royal architect Senenmu oversaw the construction of the temple. Although the adjacent, earlier mortuary temple of Mentuhotep was used as a model, the two structures are nevertheless significantly different in many ways. Hatshepsut's temple employs a lengthy, colonnaded terrace that deviates from the centralized structure of Mentuhotep's model, an anomaly that may be caused by the decentralized location of her burial chamber. There are three-layered terraces reaching 29.5 meters (97 feet) tall. Each story is articulated by a double colonnade of square piers, with the exception of the northwest corner of the central terrace, which employs proto-Doric columns to house the chapel. These terraces are connected by long ramps. The Temple of Hatshepsut has 3 levels. Leading up to the temple is a 100-foot causeway that in ancient Egyptian times was probably lined with sphinxes. During that time, the first level boasted exotic trees and shrubbery like frankincense from Hatshepsut's trading expeditions to the land of Punt. Punt is likely Ethiopia, Eritrea and northern Somalia today. A colonnade existed with square pillars that were home to many intricate and exquisite reliefs. Many of these reliefs depicted Hatshepsut on her many trips to Punt. Unfortunately, after her death, these were all destroyed. All that remains are reliefs depicting Thutmose III, and scenes of the ancient Egyptians quarrying and then transporting 2 large obelisks down the Nile River. Second level contains one of the first ever recorded pictorial documentations of a trade expedition. Specifically, the relief retells Hatshepsut's high official, Parnas's journey to Punt, which lasted from 1482 BC to 1479 BC. A wide ramp runs from the center of the second courtyard to the third court. A statue of Horus as a falcon stands at each side of the entrance to the ramp. The upper level of Hatshepsut's temple consists of a portico with 2 rows of columns facing the front, behind which there is a central courtyard with small chambers off it. The outermost columns were made up of huge seraphim statues of Hatshepsut, of which only a few remain, and the inner row of octagonal columns. The first internal court also contained 2 rows of columns, but most have been destroyed or removed. The walls on the left and right still bear the remnants of their decorations. A central doorway leads back to a columned court with a chapel dedicated to the royal cult on the left and a chapel dedicated to the solar cult on the right. Hormake, Anubis, Thutmose I and Queen Sensenab, possibly Thutmose's mother, are all depicted in the decorations of the royal chapel. In the solar chapel, Hatshepsut, Raneferu, her daughter, and Thutmose III are all depicted kneeling and presenting offerings before the Bark of Amun-Re. This chapel suffered a great deal of damage during the Atenas period, when many of the images of Amun were destroyed. All the images of Hatshepsut have been destroyed and replaced with images of Thutmose III. There was a limestone altar to Hormake in the solar chapel, around which there are a number of depictions of gods which were defaced during the Atenas period. Hormake was not damaged as he was considered to be a form of the Aten. The temple is one of the most characteristic temples in the whole of Egypt due to its design and decorations. It was built of limestone, not sandstone like most of the other funerary temples of the New Kingdom period. The main axis of the temple is set to an azimuth of about 116.5 degrees and is aligned to the winter solstice sunrise, which in our modern era occurs around the 21st of the 22nd of December each year. The sunlight penetrates through to the rear wall of the chapel, before moving to the right to highlight one of the Osiris statues that stand on either side of the doorway to the second chamber. A further subtlety to this main alignment is created by a light box, which shows a block of sunlight that slowly moves from the central axis of the temple to first illuminate the god Amen-Ra to then shining on the kneeling figure of Thutmose III before finally illuminating the Nile god Hapi. Additionally, because of the heightened angle of the sun, around 41 days on either side of the solstice, sunlight is able to penetrate via a secondary light box through to the innermost chamber. Queen Hatshepsut, born circa 1508 BC, reigned over Egypt for more than 20 years. She served as queen alongside her husband, Thutmose II, but after his death, claimed the role of pharaoh while acting as regent to her stepson, Thutmose III. Hatshepsut is an intriguing character. She initially ruled as regent for her stepson Thutmose III, but promoted herself to the role of pharaoh instead of passing power to him when he came of age. Her temple is one of the most striking monuments in ancient Egypt, even in its semi-ruined state. It was designed by Senenmu as a garden for her father Amen. It had exotic trees and shrubs from Punt, possibly Somalia, planted in the lower courtyard. However, after her death, Thutmose III and Akhenaten both intentionally damaged the monument. The former directed his attacks at Hatshepsut herself, either replacing her image with his own or simply obliterating references to her. The latter damaged her temple because of the frequent references to the god Amen. The Polish Academy of Sciences in Warsaw is responsible for the study and restoration of the 3 levels of the temple. As of early 1995, the first 2 levels were almost complete, and the top level was still under reconstruction.